dryer. All right, so at least you're able to see what type of dryer I'm working with. Again, it's a Whirlpool dryer, an electric dryer. So when we're looking at dryers and they're electric, again, let me know if you can hear me. If not, I'm looking at my phone just to check. So right now, if you want to tell if your dryer is gas or electric, look at the plug. This is a big plug, right? And it has 4 prongs on it. You can get a 3-prong or 4-prong. All right. So if your dryer looks plug look like this, then it's electric. If it looks like a standard plug, then it should typically is gas. All right. So that's normally how you figure out what type of dryer you have. You do need to know what type of dryer you have because it helps determine the parts inside the dryer, how your dryer works, what to know how to fix it, because it's just a little bit different, right? Gas is different from just a heating element. So they're 2 different components. So they're 2 different type of dryer. All right, so to check your voltage to the dryer, that's the first thing you want to do. I've been doing this for over 20 years. And one of the biggest issues that happens to me at times is that I skip steps. Because most of the issues that I see with dryers, I've already done it before. Right? So it's basically like the same issues over and over and over again. It's not really too much difference in a dryer. Nowadays, they're adding like control boards, Wi-Fi boards. You can do remote start. You have apps that you can use to turn on your dryer. You can turn off your dryer. So that's what's a little bit different with the new dryers because of the technology that's inside of it. But if you look at the plugs that you see here, you have green, red, white, and black. All right, so your white is your neutral, your green is your ground. So when you're looking at it, you want to check it. All right, again, you want to have a multimeter. You want to be careful with that because what can happen is you think it's something else when it's just an outlet issue or it's an issue with your plug, it's outlet with the terminals, there's shortage, the wires are burnt. So you don't have to go that far. So you want to come to the source. You want to check your outlet. So typically when you're checking your outlet to make sure that it is correct, you're supposed to get 240 or 220 from leg 2, which is red, right? And leg 1. So when you go across both of these, you normally would get 240. On my meter, it is not going to show you 240 because I don't have a 240 plug to turn this dryer on. But I do have a 120. So normally I go from neutral to my L1, which should give me 120 volts. Right now I'm getting 118, right? So my dryer is going to run, but it's not going to heat. Again, it's an electric dryer. The 240 comes in when it needs to run the heating element on your dryer. So that's why your dryer would not heat and it still would turn on and it still would tumble. It still would act as if it's everything else is working except for the heating portion of the dryer. All right. So again, when you're checking your outlet, you go from L2, which is red, L1, which is black. Normally you get 240 volts. You go from neutral to L1, you should get 120. Neutral to L2, you should also get 120. And when you combine the voltages, you get 240 volts. All right. That's how that works. But like I said, I'm running off of a 120 volt dryer. And everything else should work. I've already tried it and tripped my breaker. So I can't turn it on so that you guys will be able to see it. You're just going to have to trust me. All right. So let's say if this dryer is not heating up and the voltage is pretty good. All right. All the voltages are good. I'm going to unplug the actual outlet to this dryer so I don't get zapped. But I'm also going to get my drill. So give me 1 second. Again, I got this harness on so you guys can see so I don't have to really touch much. All right. So I'm just going to loosen this a little bit. Get this out the way. And of course, we also have your ground. So you can check each individual wire to ground, right? So you go from one side to ground and you touch that, you should still get 120. If you go from ground to neutral, you should get 0. And from ground to L1, you should also get 120. So either way, these 2 wires adds up to 240. All right. If you look at this dryer, it's also a steamer dryer. So you can actually add your water line to this dryer so that you can have the steam function activated. You don't have to do it, right? But you can, all right? And of course, that's going to cost you more. All right, so I'm just going to go into taking this dryer apart. Again, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm going to try to do all this at the same time as I'm discussing it with you. so that you'll be able to figure this out. All right. So let's take this dryer apart. Good to have a handy drill. saves saves you from working so hard. All right. So this typically what I do every day. Dealing with different appliances, going out to fix it. Again, I'm hoping that you guys will be able to see what I'm looking at. Bear with me. All right, so get everything out. So now I'm gonna remove the back of your dryer. And it's always good to take pictures when you're taking things apart so that you'll be able to see where everything goes. Right? I mean, I remember I've been doing it for so long, so it's, but like I said, even in that experience, sometimes I can get ahead of myself, and that will cause um, me to skip steps. So with you guys, I don't want you to skip any steps. All right, so you're able to see the heating element at the bottom. You have thermal fuses, thermostats, you have the vent. All right, so if your dryer is not heating, you have another thermal cutoff fuse right here. So you have fuses just like in your breaker to protect your dryer. All right, so in order for your dryer to operate, 120 volts come through here, go through here, and then go through one side of the heating element, and the other side comes from either the timer or somewhere else. So these are the things that you're going to have to look at. But I'm not going to get too super technical. I just want to keep it simple. I want to keep it basic so that you'll be able to check your dryer. All right, I want you to win. All right, so when we're looking at the dryer here, you're able to see your thermal cutoff fuse, right? So just how to check these, you want to look at it as a door, right? And for a door being open and the door being closed. Because what happens here is your dryer sends voltage to one side of it, right? It goes from one side here, then it comes out to the other side. So you want to use your meter to check to see if there's any reading coming through it, right? You want to check it to see if it's good. I normally go to the setting on my meter, right? Different meters when you're checking resistance, when you're checking continuity. These are things that you'll learn as once you get in the field. These are words that you use all the time. But either way, there's a signal or beat to let me know if something if it's open or if it's closed. Right. So you guys can hear it when I go across my meter, that you hear that it's beeping. So I want to know if this is closed, because this is supposed to be closed. When I mean closed, it's like opening and closing a door. I would say it's like a drawbridge. When the bridge is closed, you can go across the bridge. When the bridge is open, you cannot, right? So the drawbridge is flat and closed, you can go across it, drive your car. When it's open and up in the air, you cannot. So in order for the voltage to travel through one side, it has to be closed, right? So just think of it like traffic. You're in it, right? You're driving your car. So when I'm checking this, I'm hearing the beep, right? So that's telling me, hold on one second. Let me get my harness together so you can see that. All right, cool. So when I'm checking that, that's telling me that it's good. All right. So that's not an issue with that particular part. But if this part was defective, right? And I forgot I got to show you guys the meter too. So give me 1 second. As the meter is going, let me see. All right, cool. Right, you can hear it, and you can see the meter reacting to it. Right. So that's a good part. If this part is defective, you would get a reading like OL, right? That means that it's infinity. It means that it's open. There's no reading. So far, it's open. The drawbridge is up. You can't go across. That means that's a defective part, and that will cause your dryer not to heat up. All right. So those are a couple of things that you can check. Also, your heating element, check it the same exact way. All right. So heating element has a couple screws at the bottom. Hope you guys can see that. I'm going to get down real quick so you can see. All right. Screw here. Let me see. Screw there. All right. Screw there. And a screw there. Let me move that. All right. So screws there. All right, so you'll be able to see that and see what's going on. So let me remove a couple of these screws as I do this real quick so you can see. Again, the dryers are not difficult. It's just basically understanding how they work. All right. All right, so we got this. You're able to pull this open, and then you're able to see inside of the heating element. If your heating element is defective, if any of these the metal is broken, cracked, then your heating element will not come on. All right. So a couple things you can also look at too. You can look at the heating element to see if the connectors are rusted. That's also a sign that it needs to be replaced because it's rusted at the two connectors that you see there. All right. So those are the things that you want to keep in mind. All right. When you're looking at again the dryer, you use the same continuity, use the same beat. Because you want to make sure that there's a connection from one side to the next. All right, so let me raise this harness up, bring this down a little bit so that you guys will be able to see everything that I'm dealing with. All right, cool. That's almost there. All right, that looks good. That looks good. All right, so you want to check it. Let me get out the way with my meter. All right, so you want to check it. I'm about to get my man Raymond to come down and help us this time. All right, so hopefully you're able to see. Boom, you're able to hear the beep on the heating element, and you see the reaction to the meter. So again, your heating element is good. If you're not getting that type of beep or any reading, that means that your heating element is defective. All right, and then you also have fuses that protect your heating element. Right, you have a fuse that's here that's connected to the actual drum of the dryer. So what happened is you can also check this the same exact way. All right, so you want to check that the same exact way that you do with as far as the continuity. All right, so you go from one side to the next. This will cause your dryer motor not to come on. So you'll hit the power button, start button, and nothing will happen. You don't hear anything, nothing. So that can also be defective. All right. So dryer's not heating. It could be because of thermal cutoff fuse that's up here. Could be a defective heating element. And you also have a number thermostat, a thermal fuse that connects to your heating element in the dryer. So that also reads the same exact. So these three components, this, which is your thermal cutoff fuse, your heating element, and your thermal fuse there reacts the same exact way. All right, so again, you can always pause the video, look at it. If you have any questions, I'm going to stop just to see. And then again, I just want to check it because I want to make sure that you see what I'm doing. All right, so all that is good. All that checks good, looks good, feels good. And that's normally how you check your heating element to see if your dryer is heating. Sometimes the heating element is in the back. Sometimes it's also in the front. So it depends on the model, depends on who makes it, but it still checks the same exact way. You just got to know what you're looking at and know how to test it. All right, for just looking at the steamer water valve, again, this is a water valve that can allow water not to come in. The solenoid could be defective, right? That could be completely dead like any other part. There's a resistance or a certain reading that you get off of each part. So you want to make sure that if you know the resistance reading on it, so you'll be able to figure out if it's good or not. Most of the time, if you're getting OL on a part that you're not supposed to be reading, which is infinity, that means that part is defective. But you need to know if how does it operate within that system, because certain things react off of heat and they're supposed to be infinity until the heat inside of, just like for a refrigerator. If you have a thermostat, certain thermostats react off of the coldness inside the refrigerator, right? Like a defrost thermostat. So if your defrost thermostat is cold and it's in defrost mode, then eventually it will send the power from one side to the other side to activate the heating element inside the dryer. But until then, if this never actually closes because of the temperature inside of the fridge, then it never will come on and your refrigerator won't work. All right, so these are a couple of things that you can think about. Again, this is a vent. This vent needs to, if you're mechanically inclined, it's not difficult to do. I'm going to show you how to do it, but you definitely need to take this out and clean it up. But even though you might clean the filter, so let me just show you what I'm dealing with here. All right, most people, most customers clean the filter. All right, so to clean the filter inside of here, but you forget to clean inside of here because it's hard to get to. So if you're mechanically inclined and you can take apart a dryer, I insist that you do it. You can probably do it once a year because you normally clean out your vents every 18 months to 2 years. All right, so but you want to keep that in mind. All right, so let me just slow down a little bit because I want to take that vent out. Because again, this is something that was donated to me, and I'm not quite sure if it's not clogged up enough. So I'm gonna start taking it apart. Hopefully you guys can see me again. I gotta make sure this looks right here. I got knee pads on too. Yeah, get yourself some good quality knee pads. Because that helps. Alright, so that's where we are right there on the vent. Just gonna take this apart. Alright. Then you want to make sure that your screws are where you need to be. So let me see what's going on in the bag I got. This is a simple dryer. Not difficult to repair. Sometimes the biggest issue is getting to like the control board, and that's another issue there as well that can cause your dryer not to heat up. Only against it, something. Because I'm trying to pull this out. And so that's your blow wheel underneath there. Not that bad. So all the lids sometimes get trapped. So right. I need to take it out. Let's have multiple pieces on there. All right. Give me 1 second. Let me take out a couple of the screws that you see there. Hopefully you can see that. So you got both screws. And like the bottom. There. Oh. There's like this. You have them be locked. If you get that's the side of the spot. All right, so let's get it. All right, you can see there's junk in there. It's normally thicker than this. All right, so you want to be careful. So this part of the dryer is a moisture sensor. That's what it looks like to me. So typically your dryer has a sensing feature on it. And when it does, that's why you're able to put your clothes in. It might say 60 minutes. And if you have the sensing cycle activated, it might dry the clothes within 30 minutes and then it shut itself off. It doesn't need to run the whole 60 because, again, it can sense the moisture that's on the clothes. And that helps with the dryer running more efficiently. All right, so let me see if I can show you what that looks like on here. Yep, so you're able to see the moisture here. Every time the clothes spin or the dryer spins and it turns, the clothes hits on the sensor. And the clothes hits on the sensor and it senses that moisture is out of the dryer, then it stops and shuts the dryer off. This here is what the light. This is your vent. Really, the heat comes out into the dryer. This is where the water valve is connected to, where your steam function happens inside the dryer. All right, so again, it's a Whirlpool unit, pretty familiar unit. All right, so I just want to show you that. But yeah, you're gonna have to clean that out occasionally to make sure that your dryer is operating properly, because it does get clogged up. It does have issues where it doesn't heat. So if your dryer is not heating, it doesn't mean that it's an issue with the heating element. Again, it could just mean that your dryer vents are clogged up. So all this venting, again, it produces air. Air needs to circulate throughout the dryer. The blower spins and shoot all the fumes out outside the dryer, including the heat. So when it's pushing out heat outside, then the dryer cycles on and off depending on the temperature inside of the dryer. You just want to be careful with that. All right, so just cleaning this out would be good. Don't have any trash bag, but either way, I'm going to clean it out because I can sell this dryer for $4 because it does work. It's a used dryer, and I sell it as a used dryer. So you just want to clean it out as well, and I can also go inside the dryer later when we're taking off onto the front of the dryer to let you know how to repair the belts and everything else. But I want to stick with for today just the heating portion of the dryer. Again, that can cause, that's one of the most common issues is the dryer. So this vent being clogged would cause the dryer to run multiple times. Runs, I would say about 2 to 3 times. You don't really want to run the dryer that much in concession, because what happens, it will cause your dryer to overheat and cause it to catch on fire because it's not circulating the proper heat. It's just way too hot inside the dryer. All right, so everything that you see here, thermostats, fuses, is there to protect the dryer. So if there's anything that happens, it shuts the heating element down, it shuts the dryer down. But if it doesn't, then it just burns everything up. It burns the wires up, it burns the heating element up, and catches the dryer on fire. And of course, you don't want that to happen. So if you're capable of doing this, I suggest you do this as often. I would say probably like, again, once a year. You do have dryer vent kits that you can buy to stick it inside of it to vacuum it out if you don't want to really take it apart and put it back together. If you're not that type of person, that's also fine. You can get it online. They're everywhere, so I'm not here to promote anybody, but they're there. All right, so I'm just gonna put this back, the vent back, so that you're able to see how to test your dryer if it's not heating. All right. So you want to also make sure if you're getting the proper voltage. All right. So you can check the dryer when it's off and when it's on. I suggest check it when it's off because it's more safer. If you're not a professional, if you don't know what you're doing, I would suggest that you don't do it that way. Because you can get electrocuted, you can get zapped. So always unplug the dryer. First thing you want to check when any dryer is to make sure that there's voltage, make sure there's power. If there's no power, there's no voltage, then of course the dryer is not going to heat up properly. It might not come on, it might be completely dead, or it just might not heat. All right, once you verify there's enough power, which is 240 here, 120 from each side, one leg 2 to leg 1, you want to check that. Once that is verified and then it's good, then you can get to where the heating element is and the fuses are inside the dryer. All right, so, and of course, as you do that, you check resistance and you do these different things. So it's important. It's important if you want to do this to know the steps to take, knowing how to do it. This heating element looks pretty good. Again, you can buy these parts online using your model number, and that's the most important thing on the dryer. It's like a vending number on the car. You want to know where your model number is, right? So your model number is there. There's a sticker that says MOD. It's funny to me that a lot of these manufacturers make them so small when they know that you need them in order to order parts for the dryer. All right, so those are things that you can look at. Get the model number, looking up the part. You can either go to the manufacturer themselves, or you can look it up online. These parts are not that expensive, but keep in mind, because I know there's times people are getting parts online, and some parts online are not the same, all right, because of the quality that is made. So consider that, think about that. Again, I do order parts online, but there's times when you order parts online They're, again, the quality is not the same. They're damaged, they're broken. I mean, you can ship them back and get them back, but that's just a waste of time because you're really trying to get the dryer fixed. All right, so I'm just gonna put this back in. As well, I can show you how to do that. Just reconnect the dryer. As we continue to go through this process. Again, I also review appliances, man. So I'm gonna start doing videos on live when I review appliance, so I can get people's feedback that has these appliances, so they can just let us know how they like them, because I see them from from a mechanical aspect, but most of the time the customers are the ones that's actually using the appliances every day. So I'm not there with it all the time. I just know it's broken. That's the only time I show up. All right, so just keep that in mind. We're gonna get this dryer going. Again, thermal fuses. This operates the dryer and causes the drum not to spin. Again, I can get into that in another video when we're checking to see if the dryer is dead. You got another fuse at the bottom here as well. This fuse is different from any other fuses that's there. When you go to continuity, you should not be getting a reading. All right, which is the beat that I told you guys. I like the beat. I don't have to see it. I can just listen for sound. All right, there's no beat there, nothing. So you might think this part is dead, but it's actually not. Right, so that's why I said each part is different. But you are supposed to get some type of reading. So I'm just going to increase my range on my meter, because it's telling me that the resistance is so high that the setting I have is just too low. So as I change the setting, just together so that y'all can see this. All right. So as you see, I'm getting a reading off of it, 10,000 K ohms. All right. So the setting that I have is just so low, it's not able to read it. So I had to increase my range. That part is good. It's reading properly. You got some type of resistance reading out of it. So that part is good. Again, your sensor, moisture sensor, as your clothes spins, it hits on the sensor. You have a light that's back here as well. Pretty common issue. Lights go out, but you can always replace a light bulb. That's not a difficult thing to do. So the heating element is back on. The vent, I think I ended up dropping it inside the dryer, but so I'm just gonna put this back on so that I can. So this vent system is a little bit different, and it has two. It's really not this big. You just have to take these fingers up at the front. And it's these fingers on the top of it. We'll put it back. Pretty cool. So if the dryer is not heating, that's where it is. And then you connect the vent back. The vent is pretty clean. Hope you guys can see that. Just clean it out. Again, that's your blower wheel. Stuff can fall inside of here, right? So you want to be careful. I've seen money, I've seen pen, I've seen clothes, all types of stuff inside the vent. I even saw a squirrel. Yeah, that one is pretty amusing. Dryer was smelling, it was stench. Squirrel ran inside of there and got stuck. Traveled through the vent that's connected to the dryer from outside, ran into here, and got caught up in there. When the dryer's on, it killed it. So the fumes from the dryer, and then when that's spinning, it kills you. So that it was just in there, trapped in there, stinky and dead. But anyways, but yeah, so I'm just gonna put this back on so that we can connect the vent. Again, bear with me as I do this. I'm doing this all live. You're getting everything as if you're on the job. All right, cool. So when I get the chance to put these screws back up inside of this dryer, then you want to line it properly. Yeah. Right. Don't know. All right, so hopefully you guys be able to see that. Oops. Got screws everywhere. Then you got a last screw there. Then you got these screws to put the vent back in. Up top here, line up the screws. And you want to be careful putting these on. You don't want it to fall inside the vent, and you got to take everything else back and forth. All right, so I normally put my hand over it a little bit just in case. You guys can be able to see that. Outside of that, and just repair the dryer, fix the dryer. That's good. Vent inside the dryer. There. I'm not gonna put the cover back on the dryer. Again, don't forget about your plug. Checking the voltage, checking the power to the dryer. Get them back. Just definitely put them back on. All right. Boom. This lines right up. Get my screws. I threw all over the place. All right. So you're able to see, just putting the screws back on. It's just screws. It's not. And again, don't forget, take pictures. You're going to take pictures. You want to be able to take pictures to know what things are, to put them back. Because if you don't, and another technician got to come out and help you, you're making our jobs harder, and they're going to charge you more for it. Simple as that. Because again, as a tech, if your dryer's not heating, I know what I need to do before I get there. And you're making my job harder, so I gotta do extra work. You gotta pay for the extra work. What is the background I heard on? So this is the back cover. The cover, the lead on it. Again, unplug the dryer for safety.